Hi everyone, it's Rebecca from The Healthy Gut. I wanted to do a quick blog or vlog with you today to talk about some results I've recently had come through. So I did the uBiome Explorer test, which looks at the DNA profile of your gut microbiome, which is really interesting. It costs $89 to do, so it's not an expensive test at all. So it's just over 100 Australian dollars, and it gives this incredible profile of what's going on in your gut. And I followed that up with a long-awaited appointment with Dr. Jason Hawrelak, who is such an incredibly educated person on the microbiota, and we're very lucky to have him here in Australia. He does have a very long waiting list. I was on it for 12 months waiting to get an appointment with him, so be warned, it's not a quick appointment with him. So I wanted to share with you what my uBiome results said, and then what Dr. Jason Hawrelak has suggested that we do. And I've got some notes here because there's quite a lot to go through. So the good news was, well, reasonably good news, is that the uBiome Explorer test looks at your diversity profile. So out of the many thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people that they've sampled now, where do you sit in terms of the diversity of the species of bacteria living within you? My score came in at 62%. So obviously 100% is ideal, but 62% for a person like myself who was born 2 months premature. I wasn't breastfed. I was born vaginally, so that's a positive. But I then spent so many years of my life on antibiotics, so I was just dropping nuclear bombs on my poor little gut microbiota all the time, and I wasn't doing anything to replenish it afterwards. So 62% is where I have fallen, and it's interesting in terms of where I sit with some of my bacteria species. So some of them are absolutely fine. They're in sort of what's considered the healthy or normal range. Oh, excuse me, something's just flown into my face. And others are quite low. So my Akkermansia is sitting on the low side, so you should have 1 to 3% of that, and I'm sitting at 0.99%, so just shy of that 1% mark, which would be considered the low range of normal. My bifidobacterium, and this is really interesting, which should sit somewhere between 2.5% and 5%, and guys, I'm at 0.08%. There's a lot of work I've got to do on that little species in my gut. Sorry guys, sorry little bifidobacterium. But then other things I'm absolutely normal in, which was really great. And Dr. Jason Hawrelak said to me, given your history, I'm actually happy that your gut health is, reasonable. It could be so much worse. So that made me happy to hear that. There's a couple of bacteria names that I cannot pronounce. They're such tongue twisters. But what's interesting about them is that they, if they are in excess, then it can point to hydrogen sulfide SIBO. Mine are above what is considered average or normal. So that's very interesting that I've got those bacteria sitting like that. So in terms of, just drop my sheet, in terms of some recommendations, so one thing that both Dr. Jason Hawrelak and my naturopath have said to me, I saw them both in one day, how's that, is that it might be time for us to retest for SIBO and just see what's going on. It's 3 years since I had my initial SIBO test and 2.5 years since I got my all clear. Something that I have discovered since then in more recent times is that I am full of adhesions in my abdominal area, and in particular I have a huge mass of adhesions the size of a head of broccoli all around the site of my ileocecal valve. Now that means that my structure of my small intestine and large intestine are compromised. So its ability to do its job for the migrating motor complex to work is compromised. So the likelihood of me having SIBO return is much higher than someone that doesn't have an abdominal full of adhesions. And one of my things for 2018 is to start working on my adhesions so that I can have them broken down to help prevent further relapses of SIBO. So we're testing for SIBO because in order for me to start to rebuild some of the populations of these bacteria that are in very low numbers, I need to take prebiotics. And in order to take prebiotics, I need to be confident that my SIBO has cleared. If I'm taking prebiotics and I have SIBO, I'll be making my SIBO symptoms worse and I'll be feeding the bacteria in the wrong spot. So we don't want to do that. So we'll do the test for SIBO, see if where that comes. I was hydrogen dominant last time. Let's see what's happening. And the advice from Dr Jason Hawrelak also is that I need to eat a really diverse range of foods, particularly foods that contain red polyphenols. So that's things like red-fleshed dragon fruit, pomegranates, cranberries, red grapes, red rice and raspberries, and I need to be eating some of those every single day. And he also wants me to be having 40 or more serves of plant-based foods every single week. So that includes things like seeds, nuts, vegetables, and fruits and legumes. Now, I've started counting the number of vegetables and plant-based things I eat every week, and I'd be in the 20s, but I'm not at 40, so I've got a bit of work to do to increase the diversity of the different plant-based foods that I eat to help feed my bacteria. My naturopath and I are also wondering whether there might be a bit of SIFO involved with me at this point in time. I ate sugar over the Christmas period and I have really kind of suffered for it, and I've had a lot of sugar cravings since that period of time. So we're going to see what my SIBO test says. We're then potentially going to put me on a week of an anti-candida diet to see what happens, to see how I feel. And if I feel markedly improved, well then that's a pretty strong indication that I may well have SIFO and potentially SIBO. Then the final thing that we're going to be doing is testing for celiac disease. So I've never actually tested for celiac disease. I came off gluten, I felt so much better from it, I couldn't touch it for years without having terrible symptoms, and I had no desire then to eat gluten every day for 6 weeks to get the test done. But testing has advanced and there's now a genetic test, and whilst that doesn't tell you definitely that you have celiac disease, it does tell you that whether you've got the genetic disposition to it. So Dr Jason Hawrelak recommended that I do the genetic test. If I don't have the genes for celiac disease, I won't have celiac disease. If the test comes back positive that I do have the genes, then we will decide as to whether I then go into that gluten-rich diet for several weeks in order to get the more comprehensive celiac disease test done for me. We're also suspecting there's a little bit of leaky gut going on again in my body. I did do a leaky gut test 3 years ago and I was pretty leaky, and I haven't done one since, so we're going to do that again. So I'm back into testing mode. 3 years on from my original diagnosis, I now know, because of my adhesions, that I am a candidate for relapses. The good thing is now, guys, I know exactly what SIBO is. I'm no longer in the dark, and I'm not scared about it like I once was. And I'm not feeling nearly as sick as I used to. I still feel great. So it's just about refining and continuing the journey forward. So there's my update, guys, for those of you that were interested in what my outcome was out of my catch up with Dr. Jason Hawrelak. I see him again on the 1st of March. I can't wait for that appointment. It's really worth the 12-month wait to see him. See you soon.